Fruit has always had a squeaky clean reputation. Bright, colorful, sweet, natural. It's the first thing most of us are told to eat more of when we want to stay healthy. And for decades, older adults have been encouraged to skip the cookies, ditch the candy, and grab fruit instead. On the surface, that advice makes perfect sense. After all, fruit is packed with vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants, everything you've been told your body needs. But here's the part nobody warned you about. Not all fruit is created equal. And after you pass 60, the very foods that once nourished your body can start working against it, especially when it comes to your legs. Now, I know that sounds dramatic. How could something as innocent as a banana, an orange, or a bunch of grapes possibly be bad for you? But I've spent more than 4 decades in geriatric medicine, and I've seen it firsthand. Seniors who eat fruit daily, thinking they're protecting their health, yet end up with more leg pain, swelling, stiffness, and even balance problems. Here's what's going on. As we age, our bodies don't work the way they used to. Blood vessels lose elasticity, insulin sensitivity declines, the cartilage that cushions our joints starts wearing thin, and circulation, especially to the lower half of the body, slows down. That means every bite we take has a more direct impact on how our legs feel, function, and recover. Some fruits, especially those high in sugar, acid, or certain plant compounds, can actually accelerate inflammation. They can trigger blood sugar spikes, strain circulation, and make symptoms like joint stiffness, swelling, or leg heaviness much worse. The frustrating part, these changes happen slowly. You don't eat a slice of pineapple and feel your knees ache an hour later. Instead, it's the quiet accumulation. Weeks and months of healthy snacks that over time chip away at your strength. And this isn't just about comfort, it's about independence. Your legs carry you up the stairs. They help you rise from a chair. They keep you steady when the floor is uneven. When your legs weaken, your world shrinks. Every errand feels longer, every step feels heavier, and every little pain whispers, maybe you should just sit down. But here's the good news. You have more control than you think. And it starts by knowing which fruits to be cautious about. These aren't rare or exotic. They're in millions of kitchens right now. And while they may be harmless for younger, more metabolically flexible people, they can quietly sabotage an aging body. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 of the most common fruits seniors over 60 should think twice about, especially if you've been struggling with unexplained knee stiffness, swelling around the ankles, or that constant dragging feeling in your legs. And I'm not talking about giving up fruit forever. I'm talking about eating smarter, about choosing the fruits that love your body back instead of the ones that quietly chip away at it. Because after seeing patient after patient make small changes and experience big results, less swelling, more stamina, better balance, I know it works. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly which fruits might be holding you back and which ones can help you walk, climb, and move with confidence again. So let's dive in. Starting with one of the most surprising offenders, a tropical favorite that's praised for its health benefits, yet can quietly undermine leg health in ways most people never suspect. Pineapple, the tropical surprise, golden, juicy, tropical. The kind of fruit that instantly makes you think of sunshine and vacations, and for years, it's been praised as one of nature's anti-inflammatories. Why? Because it contains bromelain, a plant enzyme that in certain forms has been shown to help with swelling and inflammation. You might have even read about studies where bromelain supplements reduced post-surgical puffiness or improved sinus issues, and those results are real. But here's the twist. Eating whole pineapple isn't the same as taking an isolated bromelain supplement. And for seniors, especially those with joint issues, poor circulation, or blood sugar concerns, pineapple can actually cause more harm than good. Let's start with sugar. 1 cup of pineapple has over 16 grams of sugar. That's more than 3 teaspoons. While that may not sound outrageous, the way pineapple sugar hits your system is the problem. It's what nutritionists call high glycemic, meaning it breaks down quickly, hits your bloodstream fast, and spikes your blood sugar almost instantly. For younger, active people, their body can handle this spike. The pancreas pumps out insulin, blood sugar stabilizes, and it's no big deal. But in someone over 60, nearly half of older adults are diabetic or pre-diabetic, which means their insulin response is already sluggish. That sugar spike lingers longer, forcing your body to pump out more insulin for longer periods. And when insulin stays elevated, it narrows the blood vessels and reduces blood flow, especially to the legs. Poor blood flow means slower muscle recovery. It means that heavy, dragging sensation in your calves after a short walk. It means swelling that creeps up in the evening and stiffness that makes standing up from a chair a little harder. And that's just the sugar. Pineapple is also one of the more acidic fruits you can eat, with a pH between 3.2 and 4.0. If you have healthy joints and plenty of cartilage, that acid isn't a big deal. But if your knees, ankles, or hips are already inflamed, acidic foods can act like slow-burning fuel on a small fire, keeping the irritation smoldering day after day. I've had patients tell me they couldn't figure out why their knees always felt hot or why their ankles swelled more after certain meals. We took out the pineapple, gone. Not overnight, but within weeks, they noticed they were walking easier and recovering faster. And if you're on certain medications, there's one more layer to consider. Bromelain, the very enzyme pineapple is famous for, has mild blood-thinning effects. On its own, this isn't dangerous. But if you're taking anticoagulants like warfarin, it could make your blood slightly thinner than intended. That might mean easier bruising or changes in your INR levels. To be clear, pineapple isn't poison. I'm not saying it's bad in every situation, but for seniors dealing with insulin resistance, slow circulation, or inflamed joints, it can create the perfect conditions for your legs to feel heavier, weaker, and slower over time. It's not about one slice here or there. It's the accumulation that matters. Think about it. You have a cup of pineapple with breakfast. Later, you snack on grapes. In the evening, maybe some orange juice with dinner. Each one causes a little spike, a little inflammation, a little more fluid pooling in the legs. You might not connect the dots, but your body feels it. I like to tell my patients, if you notice your legs feeling more swollen, more tired, or more puffy than usual, start by looking at your fruit. You might find the answer hiding in plain sight. Now, if you love pineapple and don't want to give it up completely, there's a smarter way to enjoy it. Pair a small amount, just a few bites, with a protein source like Greek yogurt or a handful of nuts. This slows down the sugar absorption and keeps your blood sugar steadier. And save it for midday when you're most active, so your muscles can actually use that sugar instead of storing it. But if you're already dealing with knee stiffness, ankle swelling, or that slow dragging fatigue in your legs, it might be worth removing pineapple for a few weeks and seeing how you feel. The difference can be surprising. And pineapple isn't the only trusted fruit that can backfire on aging legs. There's another one, soft, convenient, loaded with potassium, that's practically a staple in senior diets. Yet it can quietly cause blood sugar crashes, fluid retention, and more stiffness than you'd expect. Bananas, the convenient culprit. If pineapple is the tropical treat we don't think twice about, bananas are the everyday comfort food. They're soft, easy to peel, no mess, no fuss. You can toss one in your bag, eat it in the car, or slice it into oatmeal. And for decades, bananas have been marketed as the perfect fruit for potassium, the nutrient that helps keep muscles working and cramps at bay. So, how could something so convenient, so widely recommended, end up making your legs feel weaker, stiffer, or more swollen? The answer comes down to how bananas hit your bloodstream and how your body handles fluid as it ages. Let's start with the sugar story. A medium banana contains about 27 grams of total carbohydrates, including 14 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than many snack bars, and unlike high-fiber fruits, bananas are digested quickly, very quickly. This means the sugar is absorbed into your blood almost instantly. In younger bodies, that's not a big deal. Blood sugar spikes, the pancreas releases insulin, and levels return to normal. But for older adults, especially those with prediabetes or mild insulin resistance, that quick spike is followed by a quick drop. And here's the thing. When blood sugar drops in an aging body, one of the first areas to feel the effect is your legs. You get that heavy, dragging sensation, as if you've already walked a mile when you've just gotten up from your chair. Muscles tire faster, recovery slows. Now, let's layer in the fluid factor. Potassium is important, no doubt. But bananas aren't just potassium delivery systems. They also influence how your body manages water. If you're taking certain blood pressure medications, like diuretics, or if your kidney function isn't as strong as it used to be, eating bananas regularly can shift your body's fluid balance in unpredictable ways. I've seen it happen. Patients eating 1 or 2 bananas a day, thinking they're making a smart choice, start to notice their ankles puffing up more often, their calves feeling tighter, or their morning stiffness lasting longer. It's not an allergy. It's not an overdose. It's simply that the body's ability to regulate water, electrolytes, and blood sugar isn't as sharp as it once was. And here's where bananas can be a sneaky trap. They digest so quickly that they rarely keep you full for long, so you grab another snack an hour later, usually something else carb-heavy. This creates a constant cycle of blood sugar ups and downs, and every swing is a little hit to your circulation and muscle endurance. The result? More swelling in the lower legs, more stiffness in the knees, and more "why do my legs feel like lead today" moments. This doesn't mean bananas are bad for everyone over 60. If you're active, have stable blood sugar, and no circulation issues, a banana here and there is fine. But if you're already dealing with swelling, joint pain, or morning stiffness, it's worth experimenting. Try going 2 weeks without bananas and see what happens. You might be surprised at how much lighter your legs feel. If you really love them, there are ways to make them friendlier to an older body. Pair half a banana with protein like cottage cheese or a boiled egg to slow sugar absorption. Eat them after a walk or workout, when your muscles are ready to use the sugar for recovery instead of letting it linger in your bloodstream. But here's the bigger point. The fruits that we've been told are safe for everyone often come with fine print, especially as we age. Your body's rules change, and if you keep playing by the old ones, you pay for it in energy, balance, and mobility. Now, bananas and pineapple are just the beginning. There's another fruit that seems even more innocent, small, sweet, heart-healthy, and so easy to snack on. You barely notice how much you've eaten. But in older adults, it can be a one-way ticket to joint pain, swelling, and the kind of leg fatigue that keeps you from walking as far as you used to. Grapes. The sweet little problem. Grapes are one of those fruits that feel almost harmless. They're tiny, they're bite-sized, you can grab a handful without thinking, and for years they've been praised as heart-healthy because they contain antioxidants like resveratrol, the same compound found in red wine that's linked to better blood vessel health. Sounds great, right? Except there's a big difference between reading about resveratrol in a lab study and eating handful after handful of fresh grapes in real life, especially after 60. Here's where the problem starts. Grapes are sugar-dense. 1 cup contains around 23 grams of sugar, almost 6 teaspoons. And let's be honest, who actually stops at 1 cup? It's easy to sit down with a bowl, watch TV, and eat 2 or 3 cups without realizing it. Suddenly you've taken in more sugar than a can of soda, just in grapes. But sugar isn't the only issue. The type of sugar in grapes, fructose, behaves differently from the glucose your body uses for quick energy. Fructose has to be processed by your liver first. For younger, healthy livers, this isn't a problem. But for many older adults, especially those with fatty liver buildup or slower metabolic clearance, it can turn into a bottleneck. Here's what happens. When your liver gets hit with too much fructose too fast, it converts some of it into fat and some into uric acid. And uric acid loves to settle in the joints, especially in the small ones in your toes, ankles, and knees. Over time, this buildup triggers inflammation that feels like gout, arthritis, or just persistent stiffness that never quite goes away. I've seen seniors who swear their joint pain came out of nowhere, finally make the connection after cutting back on grapes. Within weeks, the swelling in their ankles eased, their knees felt less hot at night, and they could walk farther without that deep ache kicking in. The other problem with grapes is how fast they're eaten. Because they're small, juicy, and hydrating, your brain doesn't register fullness quickly. That means you can eat far more than your body can comfortably handle in one sitting, flooding your system with fructose, spiking your blood sugar, and setting the stage for an energy crash later. And remember, after 60, circulation to your lower legs isn't as strong as it used to be. Those tiny blood vessels feeding your calves, ankles, and feet are more fragile. When inflammation from repeated sugar spikes kicks in, it makes those vessels less efficient at delivering oxygen and nutrients to your muscles. That's when your legs start feeling heavy. That's when your recovery from even a short walk takes longer. That's when you start noticing stiffness in your ankles after sitting for just 20 minutes. Now, I'm not saying grapes are off limits forever. If you truly enjoy them, you can make them work, but portion control is everything. Instead of mindlessly snacking from a big bowl, count out a small handful and pair them with a source of protein or healthy fat like almonds or cheese. This helps slow sugar absorption and prevents the massive blood sugar swings that make legs feel weaker later in the day. But if you've been dealing with persistent ankle swelling, stiff knees, or unexplained leg fatigue, try swapping grapes for lower sugar, higher fiber fruits, like berries, for a few weeks. You might be shocked at how much difference it makes. Because here's the truth. The danger with grapes isn't in one serving here or there. It's in the ease of overconsumption. They're sweet, they're bite-sized, they feel healthy, and before you know it, they've become a daily habit that's quietly chipping away at your mobility. And if grapes are the sneaky slow burn problem, the next fruit is the fast-acting one. It looks harmless, tastes light and refreshing, and is loaded with water, but its effect on blood sugar is so quick it can leave your legs feeling like they've been drained of all energy. Watermelon, the sweet flood. On a hot summer day, few things feel as perfect as a slice of cold, juicy watermelon. It's light, it's refreshing, it's 90% water, and for a lot of seniors, it feels like one of the safest fruits you could eat. After all, it's hydrating, low in calories, and a great alternative to sugary sodas or processed snacks, right? Well, not exactly. Here's the hidden truth about watermelon. While it's mostly water, the part that isn't water is loaded with fast-acting sugars and almost no fiber to slow them down. This combination gives watermelon one of the highest glycemic indexes of any fruit. To put it simply, watermelon raises your blood sugar fast. In fact, in some cases, it can spike it even faster than white bread. For a younger, active person, those sugars are quickly used for energy. But for older adults, especially those with reduced insulin sensitivity, the spike lingers. And when blood sugar stays high, your body reacts with a surge of insulin. That insulin rush doesn't just push sugar into cells. It also signals the kidneys to hold on to more sodium and fluid. What does that mean for your legs? More swelling, more heaviness, more stiffness. If you've ever noticed that your ankles feel puffier in the evening after having watermelon at lunch, or that your knees feel achy after a barbecue, that's not just coincidence, it's physiology. The other tricky thing about watermelon is portion size. Because it's so light, people tend to eat a lot of it. A single wedge can have over 17 grams of sugar. Eat 2 or 3 wedges, which is easy when it's hot outside and you've just taken in as much sugar as a can of soda. And here's where it gets even more deceptive. Because watermelon feels hydrating, you might not realize you're actually creating more work for your circulatory system. Yes, it adds fluid, but it also adds sugar that thickens the workload for your blood vessels. In seniors, where those vessels are already less elastic, this can slow down blood flow to the lower limbs. That slowdown means less oxygen to your muscles, less nutrient delivery, and slower removal of waste products. The result? Your legs feel tired faster. Your recovery time after walking gets longer, and those small aches in your calves and knees seem to linger for days instead of hours. Now, does that mean you should never enjoy watermelon again? No, but like with grapes, it comes down to timing and pairing. If you're going to have watermelon, do it earlier in the day when you're more active, and pair it with something that has protein or healthy fat, like a small handful of nuts. This slows absorption, steadies blood sugar, and reduces the impact on circulation. But if you're already dealing with chronic swelling, evening heaviness in the legs, or joint stiffness that seems worse in summer, you might want to experiment with taking a break from watermelon for a few weeks. Many of my patients are surprised to find their legs feel lighter, less swollen, and more stable without it. Because in the end, watermelon's real danger isn't just its sugar, it's the speed at which that sugar hits your system. For older bodies, fast sugar is the enemy of steady energy and strong circulation. And if watermelon is the sugar sprinter, the next fruit is the acid irritator. It's tangy, zesty, and known for its vitamin C boost. You've probably had it at breakfast or during cold season, but for aging joints, especially those already inflamed, it can act like a daily drip of irritation that keeps you from fully recovering. Oranges, the acid aggravator. Oranges are practically the poster child for healthy eating. They're bright, sweet, refreshing, and loaded with vitamin C. For decades, they've been promoted as the perfect immune booster, the breakfast fruit of champions, and a go-to remedy when you feel a cold coming on. But here's what almost no one talks about. While oranges can support the immune system, they can also quietly irritate aging joints and slow down recovery in your legs, especially when eaten daily. The problem starts with citric acid. Citrus fruits like oranges, grapefruits, and tangerines get their tang from citric acid. For people with young, healthy joints, this isn't a big deal. But if you're over 60, and already dealing with arthritis, joint inflammation, or even mild cartilage thinning, citric acid can act like a slow irritant. It's not as dramatic as a sharp pain. It's more like a constant background buzz of discomfort that never quite lets your joints rest. I've had patients who drank a glass of orange juice every morning, convinced it was keeping them healthy, but their knees ached more after sitting, their hips felt tight in the mornings, and they noticed a general heaviness in their legs by the afternoon. When we cut citrus for just 2 weeks, many were shocked at how much lighter and more mobile they felt. Then there's the sugar factor. A medium orange contains about 12 grams of sugar, not outrageous by itself. But most people don't just eat an orange, they drink orange juice. And here's the catch. Store-bought juice often contains 20-25 grams of sugar per glass, with zero fiber to slow it down. That means the sugar rushes into your bloodstream, spiking glucose and triggering an insulin response that, you guessed it, narrows blood vessels and reduces circulation to your legs. And remember, aging blood vessels aren't as quick to rebound from these spikes. Repeated over time, those surges contribute to low-grade inflammation in the smallest vessels, the ones that feed your calves, ankles, and feet. That's when you start to notice tenderness in your feet, calves that fatigue faster, and swelling that creeps in before dinner. Oranges can also be misleading because they feel light and refreshing. You don't think of them as sugary the way you might think of pineapple or mango. But the combination of natural sugars and acids is exactly what can aggravate sensitive joints while also straining circulation. Now, does this mean oranges are the enemy? Not at all. But if you're over 60, it's worth paying attention to how often you have them and in what form. If you enjoy oranges, stick to whole fruit, not juice. Eat them alongside a handful of nuts or a boiled egg to buffer the sugar impact. And avoid pairing them with other acidic fruits in the same meal, which can amplify irritation. But if you're noticing persistent stiffness in your knees, tightness in your hips, or swelling in your lower legs that doesn't seem to improve, try removing oranges for a short period. Your joints might thank you. The key here is to recognize that the same fruit that once energized you might now be quietly slowing you down. It's not about being afraid of fruit. It's about adapting your choices to your body's current needs. And if oranges are the acid aggravator, the next fruit on our list is the stealth irritant. It looks like the clean option, crisp, tart, and often praised for being lower in sugar. But its sharp bite comes from a compound that can subtly increase discomfort in aging joints while still delivering enough sugar to mess with your leg's stamina. Green apples. The stealth irritant. Green apples have a reputation for being the smart choice. They're crisp, tart, refreshing, and because they're less sweet than red apples, many people assume they're the healthier, lower sugar option, especially if you're watching your weight or blood sugar. But here's the twist. While green apples may be lower in sugar than some fruits, they come with their own hidden drawback for aging bodies, malic acid. Malic acid is what gives green apples their sharp, sour bite. In younger bodies with strong, healthy joints, this acid isn't a problem. But in older adults with thinning cartilage, mild arthritis, or even low-grade inflammation, malic acid can act as an irritant. It's not dramatic. You won't bite into an apple and suddenly clutch your knee. But over time, that subtle irritation can keep your joints from fully calming down, meaning they stay just a little stiff, a little sore, a little less willing to cooperate. And while green apples aren't as sweet as some fruits, they still pack about 19 grams of natural sugar in a medium-sized apple. Here's the catch. Most people eat apples by themselves. No protein, no healthy fat, no fiber-rich side to slow down the sugar absorption. So even though apples do have some fiber, It's not enough to completely buffer the sugar hit when eaten on their own. For seniors with reduced insulin sensitivity, that means a quick spike in blood sugar followed by an insulin surge followed by the dreaded drop. And when that drop happens, your legs are one of the first areas to feel it. Energy fades, calves feel heavier, knees feel stiffer when you stand up. The timing of apple eating matters too. Many older adults reach for fruit in the evening as a healthier dessert, but eating a green apple before bed can set off a chain reaction, sugar and acid entering your system while your body is winding down, digestion slowing, and circulation naturally decreasing for the night. That combination can mean overnight cramps, restless legs, or waking up with more morning stiffness than usual. I've had patients who were puzzled about why their knees felt worse in the mornings until we discovered their nightly apple habit. When they switched their apple to mid-morning or swapped it for a lower acid fruit at night, their joints loosened up noticeably within a week or two. Now, I'm not telling you to banish green apples forever. They have nutrients, fiber, and antioxidants that can be beneficial. But if you're already battling joint stiffness or lower leg fatigue, you might want to pair your apple with a protein or healthy fat like cheese or peanut butter to slow sugar absorption. Eat it earlier in the day when your body is more active. Alternate with lower acid fruits to give your joints a break. Because here's the bigger picture. Every fruit we've talked about so far, pineapple, bananas, grapes, watermelon, oranges, and now green apples, can quietly chip away at leg strength when eaten too often or in the wrong context for an aging body. And if green apples are the stealth irritant, the next fruit is the full-on sugar bomb. It's tropical, it's indulgent, and it's beloved by millions. But in seniors, it can unleash a tidal wave of sugar and inflammation that doesn't just slow your legs down. It can make them ache for hours. Mangoes, the tropical sugar bomb. Mangoes are one of those fruits that feel like a celebration. They're silky, sweet, fragrant, the taste of summer wrapped in golden flesh. For many people, they're the highlight of the fruit bowl, the treat that still feels healthy. And if you've ever sliced into a perfectly ripe mango, you know the joy of that first bite. But here's the truth most people don't realize. For seniors, mangoes are less of a gentle treat and more of a sugar overload that can quietly hammer circulation, aggravate inflammation, and leave your legs feeling heavy for hours. Let's break it down. One medium mango contains around 45 grams of sugar. That's more than most candy bars. And it's not just any sugar. It's fructose heavy, which means it bypasses the usual insulin regulation and heads straight to your liver for processing. In younger bodies with strong metabolic flexibility, the liver can handle this just fine, turning some of it into glucose for energy and storing the rest as glycogen. But in older adults, especially those with fatty liver buildup, prediabetes, or reduced metabolic clearance, that fructose flood can overwhelm the system. Here's what happens. The liver turns excess fructose into fat and uric acid. Uric acid builds up in joints, especially in the knees, ankles, and toes, triggering inflammation and pain. The sudden sugar surge thickens the blood and strains tiny capillaries, reducing oxygen delivery to leg muscles. The result? Legs that feel tired, achy, or even slightly burning after eating mango. And mangoes are deceptive because they don't feel heavy. Unlike a slice of cake, which you might limit yourself on, mango is smooth, juicy, and easy to overeat. A few slices can quickly turn into half a mango or a whole one. Before you know it, you've taken in nearly double the sugar most seniors should have in a single day. For those with nerve sensitivity, This can be even worse. I've seen patients develop tingling in the toes, a burning sensation in the soles of the feet, or a restless ache at night after mango-heavy snacks. Many thought it was worsening neuropathy until they removed mango from their diet for a month. The symptoms eased, sometimes disappearing entirely. This doesn't mean mango is forbidden forever. Like all the other fruits we've talked about, it comes down to timing, portion, and pairing. If you really love mango, here's how to enjoy it without the same sugar shock. Keep portions to a few small slices, not a whole fruit. Pair it with protein or healthy fat to slow sugar absorption. Eat it after physical activity, when your muscles are ready to use the sugar for recovery. Avoid eating mango in the evening, when your circulation naturally slows and your body is less equipped to handle sugar surges. But if you've been dealing with persistent swelling, sluggish recovery after walks, or burning discomfort in your feet at night, try a mango-free month and see what happens. You might be surprised at how much lighter your legs feel and how much more energy you have. And here's the thing. Everything we've covered so far has been about identifying the fruits that may quietly be holding you back. But I don't want you to walk away thinking fruit is the enemy. The truth is, there are fruits that can do the exact opposite, improving circulation, reducing inflammation, and actively supporting your joints and muscles as you age. In fact, when my patients make smart swaps, they often report noticeable improvements in just weeks. The stiffness fades, the swelling goes down, walks feel easier, and they get their confidence back, not by cutting fruit entirely, but by choosing the right ones for their body's current needs. So, let's finish strong by talking about the fruit heroes, the ones that love you back and help keep your legs steady, strong, and ready to carry you anywhere you want to go. The safe fruit alternative. By now, you've seen how 7 common fruits, pineapple, bananas, grapes, watermelon, oranges, green apples, and mangoes, can quietly chip away at your strength, especially in your legs. But I want to be crystal clear. This isn't about fearing fruit. It's about choosing the fruits that work with your body now, not against it. Because here's the uplifting truth. Just as certain fruits can aggravate inflammation, strain circulation, and drain energy, others can do the exact opposite. They can actively protect your joints, improve blood flow, and keep your muscles stronger for longer. Let's start with one of my personal favorites for seniors, berries. I'm talking blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, even strawberries. These little powerhouses are low in sugar, high in fiber, and packed with antioxidants called anthocyanins. These compounds have been shown in research to help reduce inflammation, improve vascular function, and even support collagen in joint tissues. I've had patients switch from grapes to blueberries and tell me that within 2 weeks, their evening foot pain was noticeably better. The swelling in their ankles eased, and their morning walks felt less like a chore and more like something they looked forward to again. Then there are tart cherries, not the sweet kind you find in pie filling, but real tangy cherries. These contain natural compounds that can help lower uric acid levels in the body. If you've been dealing with gout-like symptoms, stiff toes, or aching knees, a handful of tart cherries a few times a week can make a real difference. I've even had patients use tart cherry juice, unsweetened, as part of their recovery routine after exercise, and they swear by the reduced soreness. Now, let's talk about a fruit that doesn't even taste sweet, avocados. Technically, they're a fruit, but their benefits go way beyond what most fruits can do. They're rich in monounsaturated fats, vitamin E, potassium, and compounds that help reduce systemic inflammation, For seniors, avocados are like a joint insurance policy. They nourish the soft tissues around your knees and hips, stabilize blood sugar, and keep your balance steady by supporting muscle function. Next on the list is papaya. Unlike mango, papaya is gentle on your joints and digestion. It contains an enzyme called papain, which aids in breaking down proteins and has mild anti-inflammatory effects. Its smooth texture and relatively low sugar content make it an excellent choice for seniors, especially those with sensitive stomachs or slower digestion. And don't overlook pears. They may not be as flashy as tropical fruits, but they're incredibly friendly to blood sugar. Pears are high in soluble fiber, which slows glucose absorption, keeping your energy steady and your legs feeling strong. Pair a pear with a bit of cheese or a small handful of nuts, and you've got a snack that won't spike your blood sugar or weigh you down later. The common thread among all these fruits: they deliver nutrients without the sugar overload or acid irritation that can set your legs back. They work with your circulation, with your joints, and with your muscle recovery. Here's the thing: switching to these fruits doesn't have to feel like a punishment. You're not giving something up. You're simply upgrading to foods that give you more of what you actually need right now: stability, comfort, and lasting energy. And when my patients make these swaps, the changes are often faster than they expect. Within weeks, they report less swelling by the end of the day, knees that don't feel as tight when they get out of bed, calves that don't burn halfway through a walk, a general feeling of lightness and stability when moving around. So, instead of thinking, "What do I have to cut out?" start thinking, "What can I add in that loves my body back?" Because once you start feeling the difference, the old habits naturally fade away. And that brings us to the final point, the big takeaway that I want you to remember every time you stand up, walk across the room, or decide what goes on your plate. If you've made it this far, you've already done something most people never do. You've questioned the health advice you've been fed for decades. For years, we've all been told the same simple line: fruit is always good for you. And for much of our lives, that was true. A bowl of pineapple, a banana with breakfast, a handful of grapes, all of it seemed harmless, even smart. But as we've seen, the rules change as your body changes. Your blood vessels aren't as elastic as they used to be. Your insulin response is slower. Your joints have weathered decades of use. Your circulation works a little harder to get oxygen all the way down to your ankles and toes. And that means food doesn't land in your system the way it did when you were 30. What used to energize you might now leave you sluggish. What once was harmless might now be quietly feeding inflammation. Here's the part I want you to hold on to. You're not powerless. You're not just getting old. You're not doomed to swollen ankles, stiff knees, or heavy calves for the rest of your life. You can take small, smart steps, starting today, that will help your legs feel stronger, lighter, and more dependable. Maybe that step is swapping grapes for blueberries. Maybe it's trading your morning orange juice for a sliced pear. Maybe it's giving your joints a break from pineapple for a month just to see how they respond. None of these changes are extreme. You don't need to cut out fruit completely or follow some complicated diet plan. You simply need to choose fruits that match the body you have now, the one that's carried you through decades of living and deserves the right kind of fuel. I've seen seniors in their 70s and 80s regain stamina, walk farther than they have in years, and even get back to activities they thought they'd given up forever, all because they started listening to their bodies and adjusting what went on their plate. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's simply paying attention. So here's my challenge to you. Over the next 2 weeks, pick just one fruit from the caution list and replace it with one from the safe list. Watch how your legs feel. Notice your energy during the day. See if the swelling at night changes. Your body is still talking to you. It's still sending signals through your joints, your muscles, your energy levels, and when you respond to those signals, you give yourself the best chance to stay steady, strong, and independent. And if you found this information eye-opening, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a spouse, or anyone you know who's been feeling that same creeping heaviness in their legs. Because the truth is, no one's talking about this, and yet it could change someone's quality of life in ways they didn't think possible. I'll leave you with this. Your legs carry your independence. They take you to the kitchen in the morning, the mailbox in the afternoon, the places you love in between. Every choice you make at the table either protects that independence or slowly chips away at it. Choose foods that fight for you, not against you. Choose the fruits that love you back, because it's never too late to make your next decade stronger than your last. I'm Dr. Charles. Stay steady, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.